All right, we're going to give it just a couple more minutes just to make sure we give people a chance to log on. If our panelists are good with that, feel free to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Perfect. All right, I think we are good to go. If our panelists would mind unmuting and just let me know when you need your slides forwarded. I'm going to put myself on mute and have fun.
Thanks, Beth. This is Marcy. Really appreciate everyone being with us today. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the 28th annual event, our first ever Women's Day In, but we've been gathering for 28 years, and it is really wonderful to be together with all of you. Our event for Women's Day In is to raise funds for and to support Bellevue Women's Center and women's health here in Schenectady and in our region. So thank you so much for being a part of that. It's a full day. We tried to take the best of the very best of a women's night out and to bring a virtual experience to you today. So we have not one, but two health panels. We're really delighted. One this morning right now and the other at 12 noon. So please be sure to tune in for that one. We have our annual Janie Award, the Jane Golub Leadership in Women's Health Award at 5 o'clock tonight via Zoom. And then all day long, we have access to a wonderful silent auction and a wine pull. And many of you will be picking up your complimentary champagne and cheese board gift to participate and to enjoy as you're watching the Janie later this afternoon. So we're just delighted you are here with us today for our first ever Women's Day In. And to kick us off today, we've got a wonderful panel. And before I introduce them, I would just like to thank our sponsors, those folks who really stepped up. We've got a Dynamite Committee, Pam Meggs, Brooks Berrigan and their team really revisioned this, and so we're very excited. But a special thanks to our sponsors, Neil and Jane Golub, CBS 6, Blue Shield of Northeastern New York, MVP Healthcare, Overton, Russell, Dorr, and Donovan, Schenectady Hardware and Electric, SEFQ, Freeman's Bridge Wine and Liquor, Sandra's Fine Jewelry, Kingsway Community, and Mohawk Ambulance Services, and also to our many, many, many partners and supporters who are members of our honorary committee. So now on to our panel. I'm really thrilled and delighted to introduce our topic today, which has to do with Ellis's new partnership with Roswell Park, a comprehensive cancer center designated by the National Cancer Institute located in Buffalo. And we will be discussing today how this partnership will elevate, will improve, and will provide new therapies, interventions, and care for women and their families in our community. So we are going to be hearing from three wonderful panelists. The first is Paul Milton, who is our president and CEO here at Ellis Medicine. The next is Dr. Chris Dolinsky, who is the chief of radiation oncology here at Ellis. Good morning, Chris. Welcome to the panel. And from Buffalo, we have Sunita Penisar, who is the Senior Executive Director of Strategy and Development and Outreach at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center. So she's with us from Buffalo, and they too have a rainy morning in Buffalo, cold and dreary, I believe, as well. So welcome to Schenectady. We're delighted to have you. Just a few housekeeping. We really welcome your questions. So there's a chat box or there's a Q&A box. Please feel free to put your questions in there, and we will make sure they get to our three panelists. So with that, I would like to call upon Paul to get us going. Paul?
Well, thank you, Marcy, and thanks to the entire foundation team for putting this innovative Women's Day in event together. And thanks to all the sponsors. What you do for Ellis really means a lot. So I want to put a big thanks out to you. So these are exciting times, as we all know, and Ellis, I think, is stepping up to participate as best we can to take care of this community. Just to comment on COVID, I think, this obviously impacted this event, and it's why we're doing it virtually. And I think overall, Ellis is doing a great job of taking care of this community relative to COVID. Today, we have 7 inpatients, and the numbers have increased a little bit, but I'm confident, even with a surge, that we'll be able to manage it and lead this community through the pandemic. I also want to thank my colleagues here on the panel. I've worked a lot with Dr. Dolinsky, and it's always good to see him. And Sunita, it's good to meet you, and welcome to be on the panel here. So exciting times as we prepare for the future. We've announced a number of our affiliations. The big one that we're going to talk about a little bit more today is with Roswell Park, but I also want to mention another big one relative to our announcement with St. Peter's Health Partners, which is part of Trinity. So as you know, Ellis has been looking at a partnership model for a number of years. The board's taken a very deliberate approach about this, of what's best for this community and what would be best for Ellis. The partnership with St. Peter's is in the early phase. It really has 3 steps to it. We've signed the letter of intent, so that's where we are right now. It's kind of a non-binding agreement, but it shows intent, obviously. We're doing a lot of back and forth now, sharing information. And so we hope to get to what the next step is. Step 2 would be a definitive agreement somewhere in the first quarter of 21. So we're shooting for January, February. And that's really the important part. That's the core of what we're planning to do together. So that would be a pretty lengthy document that would go to our board for approval, and obviously go to the St. Peter's board for approval as well. Once we take that, we submit that document to the state, the Department of Health, and then we take it and send it to the federal review authorities, really for any issues relative to antitrust kinds of things. So early phase right now, but an important step nonetheless of where we go. I think the Roswell, shifting to the next slide, fits in very well with our interest to affiliate with strong partners. I won't go into a lot here because that's why we have our colleagues on the panel here. But clearly we were looking at oncology in this community and how we could strengthen the care we provide for cancer patients in this community. Similarly, we did a very deliberate and methodical approach to go about this. And I'm very proud to say that the Roswell model and what Roswell is interested in doing fit very nicely with what we're planning to do. Similarly, going back to the St. Peter's, we're looking to take care of this community, this kind of whole community, in a very integrated, comprehensive way. That's similar to what Roswell wants to do, in my mind, with cancer care in this community. So it's a very innovative approach, fits in with strong partners. We don't need to duplicate what they're doing. So they're a nationally designated cancer institute, one of the sort of few in the country. So we've got a lot of work to do. Just to frame it out, we've got our agreement. This doesn't have to go to the state or federal review side. We've got our agreement. We're working with Roswell. They're here regularly. Leaders were here last week, actually, met with the team. So we're locating some physical space, fitting it out for them. Roswell's identifying physicians that will come here to provide care, provide sort of Roswell care, if you will, in Schenectady, at Ellis, providing care for the capital region. So I think you could look at Schenectady as having some really strong pillars. You're going to have Ellis partnering with St. Peter's, obviously have Bellevue in there. You're going to have Sunnyview in there. You're going to have Roswell in there for oncology. So a real strong presence in Schenectady, kind of a medical center concept here for the services we're providing. So we're very proud, we're very excited about this. It's a good segue into what's important here for sort of leading into this Women's Day in. So with that, turn over to my colleague, Dr. Dolinsky, who's been very significant in the partnership here of working with his colleagues at Roswell. Chris?
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much to everyone who's here paying attention out in cyberspace. I appreciate your continued support of Ellis and the foundation, and I'm glad that you could be here with us this morning. So my name is Chris Dolinsky. I'm a radiation oncologist at Ellis. I've been here for 7.5 years. And the first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about radiation oncology. What do I do for a living? Well, radiation oncology is one of the 3 pillars of cancer medicine. There's radiation, medical oncology, and surgical oncology, as you see here on this pie chart. Very briefly, medical oncology is a discipline that focuses on systemic therapy, giving patients medications that get into the bloodstream, be it chemotherapy or immunotherapy, often via injectable form or pill form. And the goal there is to find cancer cells wherever they might be lurking in the body. Surgical oncology is surgery. Surgeons who specialize in removing tumors and lymph nodes, or occasionally removing an entire organ that has cancer in it. And then radiation, what I do, which is to use high energy X-ray beams to kill cancer cells where I think they might be hiding. And so all 3 of these disciplines need to work together and collaborate for every single patient. As you can probably imagine, in 2020, cancer medicine is extremely complicated. And any patient that walks through my door is going to need to be seen and evaluated by all 3 of these disciplines. Right now at Ellis, we already have a thriving radiation department, and we have many, many talented surgeons. The partnership with Roswell is going to bring Roswell Park Medical Oncology to our campus. And more about that in a little bit. So when I evaluate a patient, I might determine that they need radiation, or that patient might be best served with surgery, or sometimes they might need surgery and radiation, or chemotherapy and radiation and then surgery, or surgery, then chemotherapy and radiation. It all depends on what kind of cancer that patient has, how advanced their cancer is, what we call the stage of the cancer, if the patient has any other medical problems, and what the goals of care are. So every single person that we see needs to be evaluated by these 3 disciplines, and there needs to be strong collaboration. By bringing Roswell Park into Ellis under the same roof where I practice, where our surgeons operate, we're going to have a truly comprehensive cancer center here. And that is an amazing thing for this community. So when I treat patients with radiation, we have to give a little bit of radiation at a time, daily, Monday through Friday, often for 7, 8, or even 9 weeks in a row. As you can imagine, that becomes exhausting. Now throw in the fact that that patient may need chemotherapy at the same time, where they're going in for injections once a week or once every few weeks. Our patients are going to be able to actually park once, come to my department, go right upstairs to the medical oncologist department, and have their operation under the same roof. So a comprehensive cancer center right here at Ellis, all 3 disciplines. Beyond just ease for the patient, it also makes collaboration that much easier. So for instance, when the Roswell Park medical oncologist is here, I'll be able to walk right upstairs and say, hey doc, I heard Mrs. X, she had a new MRI. Did you see what it looked like? Let's go down together to the radiologist's room and have a look with them. Or, hey, did you hear about Mr. X? He has a new pathology report. Why don't me, you, and the surgeon go down to the pathologist's department and have a look at those slides under the microscope? That is a real game changer to have everyone under the same roof collaborating. And that's it's a real gift to this community, and I'm extremely excited about it. Now, what I do for a living with radiation involves a very, very, very expensive and complicated piece of equipment called a linear accelerator. And Ellis has just stepped up huge and invested a lot of financial and human resources into bringing us a brand new linear accelerator. And when I say brand new, I mean literally it went in a month ago. It's been commissioned, and we're going to start treating patients with it within the next week or so. We bought a machine called a Versa HD from a company called Electa. And this machine is going to enable me to do some really amazing things for the patients here in the Schenectady community. I have a little video I'd like to show, maybe to show off some of the fun stuff that we can accomplish with this machine. So I mentioned that patients come in every day, Monday through Friday. A typical treatment now may take about 10 minutes, sometimes longer if it's a very complicated treatment. With our new machine, we're going to be able to cut that treatment time down significantly, often in half or even less. So some patients require a mask that locks them down to a table to immobilize them. And as you can imagine, that can be a bit claustrophobic. If we're treating someone for 12 minutes, and now we can lower that down to 3 or 4 minutes, that's a huge win for those patients. The head of the machine has something called a multi-leaf collimator, an MLC, which you see here in this video, where we actually have these leaves that move and can shape the beam so that we can create any shape of radiation beam that we need in order to treat specific site or specific shape of a tumor. With our new MLC, which is called the Agility MLC, we're not only going to be able to treat very complicated shapes, but be able to treat very large fields if that becomes necessary, be able to change the way that these move very, very quickly, which then cuts down on the treatment time and enables us to treat cancers wherever they might be lurking. And really the goal of what I do is to treat a tumor and avoid the other structures around it. So our new machine is going to be able to do that in a really fascinating way, create any shape that we need. We have what's called a cone beam CT. We're going to be able to do a very quick CAT scan on each patient before we start treating them, so we can see where a tumor is in relationship to other organs. As that video just showed, if you're breathing, a tumor is going up and down. We'll be able to see right where something is, whether it's getting smaller with time, how someone's anatomy is changing, and then adjust our beams accordingly. It's going to cut down on the amount of extra radiation going to other parts of a patient's body, which cuts down on side effects, makes things even safer. And this new machine has a very, very, very fancy way of knowing exactly where the leaves are at any given point. This kind of shows about unwanted dose. As I mentioned before, we want to be certain that where we're treating is where we want to treat is where the radiation is going, and where we don't want to treat is where it's not going. And with this slow leaf transmission, fast MLC, we're going to be able to treat tumors anywhere in the body extremely safely, extremely powerfully, and do it in a timely fashion. So this is all extremely exciting for me and exciting for this community. New machine, new partnership with Roswell. I couldn't be prouder and happier to be a part of this team. So I'm happy everyone was able to join us today, and I'm looking forward to taking questions at the end of our talk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Chris, for that really excellent question. So we've had some comments already. This new machine is really exciting. People really responding to that. And by way of introduction to Sunita, we have had a question that I think rightly belongs to you. And the question is, what does it mean to be a nationally designated cancer center? And are there others in New York?
I'd be more than happy to answer that. To be a comprehensive cancer center at the most basic level means that we provide expert cancer care in addition to conducting top-tier research that is geared towards preventing and curing cancer. And there are others in New York State. We are the only one in the upstate region. There's about 3 others within the state, and that's on the New York City side. But that's what it basically means to be a comprehensive cancer center, all under one roof.
Thank you. Okay. Well, and we'd like to welcome you to the panel and to share with us your thinking from our newest partner.
Thank you. We're so proud to be working with Paul, Dr. Delinsky, and the entire Ellis leadership team to bring Roswell Park Care Network to Schenectady and into the Capital Region. And Ellis has been an excellent partner. We've been meeting for several months, and we've developed a great camaraderie. Through our statewide Roswell Park Care Network, Roswell Park and Ellis are going to be able to provide a high level and quality of medical cancer care in the Schenectady and Capital Region that wasn't there available before. I apologize. My office has an automatic dimmer, and so the light just turned on. Give me 1 second. I apologize. There we go. My apologies. If it's not technology, it's the lighting issue. Next slide, please. And you know, one of the key things that sets Roswell apart is that Roswell has earned a reputation of being one of the top cancer centers in the country. Over the past 2 years, U.S. World Report has ranked for a second time in a row, we're number 14 out of 900 cancer centers. And that puts Roswell in the 1.5% of the top cancer centers in the country. And we were actually one of the first institutes to be designated and receive the accreditation by the National Cancer Institute as a comprehensive cancer center. And that is what sets us apart from other cancer centers, being able to provide not only the best medical oncology care, but also that research under one roof. Next slide, please. One of the key differences that sets us apart is our research powerhouse. And by that, we do the basic science research that happens here on the main campus, and then it translates directly to the patient's bedside. And we do this, we have an entire clinical research science team that is dedicated for research. Our cancer director, Dr. Odunzi, is nationally renowned for his research in GYN oncology. And we have a responsibility as being part of this National Cancer Institute to put this expertise to work for the people in the community and in our own community, but also throughout the state and within Schenectady as well. And in that, we always seek partners who share that same commitment to quality and our drive to make sure that every patient receives that quality of care. And we have found that partner in Ellis. And working together, we're going to be able to provide these services there in your community. The next slide. This is our main campus in Buffalo. We are our own zip code. We have about 15 buildings, and it's about like 2 million square feet. And this is where all the research and the clinical care does happen. And together, we will offer new treatment options, expanded expertise, and we'll be able to broaden the capabilities and offer quality oversight to the cancer care that's being provided to the patients at Ellis. And as I said before, our main focus is on the level of quality. And over our 125-year history, it translates into a guideline-driven care that we provide here in Buffalo. The same care that's going to be provided here will be provided in Schenectady. And many of our physicians, and some of them will, as we work through our affiliation, will come and be able to give grand rounds there, actually participate on national level panels where they help develop these national cancer guidelines. And we'll be able to bring those guidelines with us to Schenectady. And the community deserves outstanding cancer care. And we really believe that in partnership with Ellis, we'll be able to continue that. Thank you. And if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that overview. I think that's really great. So yes, we do have one question, and this is for Sunita. What kind of research is being pursued? Are there particular types of cancer you are researching that other centers are not, or vice versa? So do you as a cancer center specialize in one type of research? And if you do, what is that?
We actually participate in all types of research. You stem from brain cancer to lung cancer to GYN oncology. It runs the gamut. Right now, you know, we have the Simovac vaccine, a lung cancer vaccine that we're working on. There's a glioblastoma. There were one of our chair of brain surgery is, I think it's at the federal level, working on a vaccine for brain cancer, but it runs the gamut. There's not just one specialty, it's the entire spectrum. Mm-hmm. That's what makes it comprehensive.
Do you do any GYN research, any breast cancer research, those types that are particular to women typically?
Absolutely. GYN oncology, our cancer director, Dr. Odenzi, leads that initiative actually nationally as well, and breast cancer research as well too.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so we have another question. Can you talk a little bit about clinical trials and what is a clinical trial? And that was one of the pieces that they talked about bringing to our community, letting people be a part of those. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. So clinical trials, as we further in our relationship, we work through a series of initiatives to make sure that the site is ready to take on those clinical trial initiatives. So we'll be working through that, and we'll be able to bring the same trials that we have here. We'll be able to translate that in Schenectady.
Wonderful. And then a question, and I don't know if I'm going to start with Dr. Dolinsky on this one, and then Sunita, if you'd like to answer into how does this partnership affect breast cancer care in Schenectady? And I'd like to start with Dr. Dolinsky.
Sure.
Dr. Dolinsky?
Sure. And I'm going to answer your question, but I want to point out one thing I forgot to say earlier. So we talk about Roswell Park bringing medical oncology here next summer, but what I think everyone on this call needs to know is that this collaboration has already begun. You know, COVID has created this forum of video chats and video conferences, and what that has forced us to do is to have our tumor boards via Zoom or via Microsoft Meeting. And so instead of getting in a room together with all the different doctors who treat cancer and putting up the slides and putting up the images, now we do it just like this meeting. We do it via Zoom. And so Dr. Tom Schwab, who is Roswell Park doc and who has been out a bunch of times here to Ellis, and we've been out to see him too, and he's been instrumental in getting this partnership off the ground. He's a trained genitourinary surgeon. He still practices above and beyond his business duties. And last week, actually, he and a couple other Roswell physicians logged on to our Ellis tumor board and participated. And they're going to be doing that every other week. And we have the opportunity to present our cases to Roswell Park. So the collaboration's already begun. and it's already bearing fruit. So I'm just, I couldn't be happier about that. But to answer your question, Marcy, um, you know, right now we have very strong breast cancer doctors at Ellis Hospital. We have the imaging center at Bellevue. We have radiologists who specialize in breast imaging. And what we're going to be able to do with Roswell is use all of the big brains they have on campus to help us with our very challenging cases. And when it's up and running, when the clinical trials that we've discussed are off the ground, we're going to be able to enroll patients with breast cancer on clinical trials, whether it be for a new medication, new surgical techniques, new radiation, dose fractionation, anything that researchers at Roswell have said, this is a question we'd like answered, and it's been through enough background where it's deemed safe that we can start saying, well, let's see if this is going to be even better than the standard of care and enroll patients on those trials. That collaboration with Ellis is going to benefit our breast cancer patients.
Okay. Sunita, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that from your perspective?
Dr. Dolinsky summed it up very well. And he's absolutely correct. We have begun that collaboration almost a year ago now. And Dr. Schwab is the chief of our department. And just a little bit of background, Roswell Park created our office when I started about 8 years ago. And we've built this network over the year because we wanted to ensure that the same quality of care that you get here could be provided for everyone, and everyone has access to it in their community. And I think that's absolutely key to understand that the more we keep in the community, the better it is for the members of the community. And that's, I think Ellis and Roswell share that same vision.
Wonderful.
Marcy, can I build on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so as Dr. Dolinsky said, we're sort of in the early part of this, but nonetheless, Roswell's still participating, as he mentioned, the tumor board last week, and those will continue. So we're sort of reaping the benefits of it and learning to work together. If you go back, you don't literally go back, but if you put your thoughts back to that pie chart that Chris showed, you had, I think, the medical and the surgical part there in addition to the radiation. So we're starting the conversations on the surgery side. And so in the partnership with Roswell, what are the opportunities we can do to sort of expand, if you will, some of the referrals? And to the point, it's not to send people back to Buffalo. We want to keep people in this community. And so what are some of the surgical kinds of areas we can build upon as we develop this partnership? So, again, in the early phases, we want to get the foundation built here with Roswell and do what's sort of in our business plan. But we're already scoping out things as expanding that pie chart on the surgery and what we can keep in this community and do it in a partnership with Roswell. I don't know, Chris, if there's anything you would add to that.
Yeah, so when we have very, very challenging cases, we present them as a group, and those are the patients that can benefit from an opinion, at what I call a quaternary referral center, not even a tertiary, but a place that people are going to travel hundreds of miles to go because they want to see the world expert in a very specific disease. And so that's Roswell, and those docs are going to be able to get on one of these calls, just like we're doing right now, and meet with those patients and collaborate with us here. And patients aren't going to need to go anywhere. And so right there, that ups our game in terms of very niche specific cases and challenging cases. Dr. Schwab has said, we have tumor boards that are specific to every different disease, and that's the benefit of a large center like theirs. In a community hospital, we don't see enough cases where someone can sort of have a career where they only see one disease. We treat everything, and that's the way community hospitals are. But out there, they have a referral base that's so large and specific to a center like that they can have an entire tumor board of, just pancreas cancer, entire tumor board of just brain tumors, entire tumor board of just breast cancer, just GYN cancers. And guess what? We're in that network now. And if we want to present cases there, all we have to do is call in, just like we're doing right now. So that's a really amazing thing. We're going to have surgery, radiation, and med-onc all under the same roof. We have a brand new, quite literally, the newest, most modern linear accelerator in the capital region, and a partnership with an NCI designated cancer center. This is the place for cancer care in the capital region. This is exciting.
Hey, Marcy, I see there's a question, I think, there on how does this connect to the St. Peter's?
Yes, this question's for Paul. How does the St. Peter's partnership affect this partnership?
Yeah, so it's interesting. When Ellis is looking sort of its partnership model, we sign these non-disclosure agreements, these NDAs. So we had an NDA with Roswell, and it's hush hush. We can't talk to anybody else because we're sharing information. And at the same time, I had an NDA with St. Peter's, and it's kind of hush hush. It's all confidential. You can't break the NDA. I respectfully asked both organizations, because I wanted to be transparent, that I wanted to say to Roswell, hey, Ellis is going down this partnership with St. Peter's, and I don't want to sort of surprise this on you. I want to be open and share that with you. I got permission to do that, to share that. And similarly, with Roswell, I said, I don't want you to be surprised if I do this announcement with St. Peter's. The interesting thing, in terms of sort of, both are obviously very class organizations. They see the benefit in this for this community. So Roswell said, no. This would be wonderful if you join up with St. Peter's and we can sort of expand on what we're doing with that model. They were very positive about it. And similarly, St. Peter's said, hey, Roswell's a nationally designated cancer institute. They got a wonderful name. Sometimes we send patients from this community of Buffalo. Yeah, we're very excited about it. So both parties said, let's go at this together. Now, having said that, we're very much interested in doing sort of innovative relationships with the insurance companies, MVP, CDPHP. They take care of Medicaid patients. They take care of Medicare patients. And so there's some new innovative models going back to what Sunita said. We want to show we've got the quality to do what's at the highest level for cancer care and do it in a reasonable cost way. And so when we do agreements with the insurance providers, we come in a very comprehensive way, strong regional presence here, that we can do these arrangements and really move cancer care and comprehensive care overall in this region in a very relatively, I think, reasonably quick way for this community. So all parties are into this, and we're just tremendously excited about it.
Thanks, Paul. We've got another question that says, I've read that there are disparities in cancer treatment across the country based on a patient's economic status. Will the Ellis-Roswell partnership treat the underserved? Will there be charity care for cancer patients?
Is that one?
That's for you.
Yeah, I mean, as I think I just mentioned, there are disparities. We see it, that there's different care for sometimes the underserved. I think everybody knows Ellis's commitment to the whole community. We want to get out to the community. We want to get out to those that may not have access to services. Kind of goes to what I said earlier about the models we want to do. If there are folks who are sort of underinsured, that don't have access sometimes to Medicaid patients, believe me, our conversations with the insurance companies, which is where this is going, the insurance companies are sort of managing the Medicaid population now. We want to get in there, get access, get good preventive services for these patients, get them into the system so we can take care of them. Yeah, do we want to do more of all the advanced stuff? And Roswell brings that, yes. But we're sort of boots on the ground here. We're going to get into the community, make sure that there's good preventive care for these patients.
Mhm.
And when they get more advanced in their disease, we have the quality care we need to provide.
And I think if I could just add one of the pieces that Chris said, because we will have those three pieces of cancer care right here locally, where somebody could more easily access that in terms of transportation, in terms of physical access, that really speaks to our community, I believe, in many ways. Going to shift gears a little bit. We have a wonderful question. What will be the capacity of the medical oncology department? How long after being diagnosed can someone be seen? And you know, I don't quite know who owns this one, but I'm going to start with Chris. Chris?
So originally, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the plan is to bring in a single medical oncologist with a physician extender, and then to grow that program over time. Both Roswell Park, when I was there and chatted with them about how things work, and my department operate in a very similar philosophy in that patients diagnosed, we get them in the door immediately. I suspect the answer will be 24 hours if a referral comes in. The goal, if a patient's diagnosed with cancer, they're terrified, and there's often a lot of things that need to happen before we can even start treatment. We need to order various imaging tests to ensure that we know exactly what we're dealing with, get a sense of how advanced the disease is, whether it's spread or not. And so we need to get a lot of things lined up quickly so that we can start treatment, which means they need to get in and see a cancer specialist quickly. So, the medical oncology practice is going to be open next summer, but I suspect they'll be operating the exact same philosophy that I use in my department, which is if someone's diagnosed and they're referred to me, I'm gonna attempt to see them in 24 hours.
Wonderful. Good. So let's take a look. Are there any other questions? I know Sunita and Paul, and I know Chris would be delighted to answer anyone's questions. We do have a few more minutes. Paul?
Yeah, while people are maybe thinking of asking another question, let me just build on what Dr. Dolinsky said. Obviously access, as I mentioned earlier, is a key point. And when someone's diagnosed, they want as immediate access as possible. Part of this, what we're doing is it's somewhat of a disruptor in the community. I get that. We're bringing, a nationally recognized partner in here. They bring a whole bunch of other stuff that we just don't provide right now. And that's not to say there hasn't been good cancer care in this community in the past. There's been, different models here in the capital region where patients have gotten good cancer care. This is a new model we're bringing, somewhat of a disruptor to the model. We'll start, small, like any other new thing we do. We'll start small, as Chris said, and we'll build on it. And like anything else, if it continues to grow and there's a demand, we're going to be expanding with that and building with that. So somewhat yet to be seen, but as Chris said, just to double down on that, access is important. And so we're going to make sure that that's a priority, that patients and families, regardless of as I mentioned earlier, particularly meeting some of the underserved, that they can get in here and get great care.
Wonderful. Well, with that, I would like to thank our panelists today, Sunita from Buffalo, Dr. Dolinsky, Paul, thank you so much. And thank you for the many people who have joined us via Zoom today for this panel discussion. I hope you leave today feeling confident that you have a strong community hospital that has innovative partnerships to bring the very best healthcare to you and your family and our community. And as we approach the holidays and Thanksgiving and the year-end festivities, I would just like to extend to all of you on this panel and on the call today our profound thanks for your partnership, for your support of all we do at Ellis Medicine, and for your support of this year's Women's Day In. If you have any questions at all, you know how to find us. So please email us, give us a call, and we will be very happy to get you any information that you need. So again, thank you for being with us. It is a real pleasure, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marcy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dr. Landscape. Thanks, Paul.